Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dungeon Dive. Daniel here. I hope everybody is doing well, and if you're not, I hope you are soon. So welcome back to our demonstration of playing MORK BORG solo with the solitary defilement and ferritory supplements. So in the last episode, we did an overland crawl, and I kind of showed some examples of that. We went from the Black Tree up through Hag's Fork, and then we're going to condense the rest of the journey up through Pigskin Port, where we are now. We're looking for a doctor who can graft a tentacle. We're going to say it was a tentacle that I cut off of this beast. And I want the tentacle grafted to my own body so I can use the tentacle to get revenge on the beast. So in that adventure, one of the things that happened in the overland crawl, if you recall, is we faced off against some kind of like dog thing, and I killed the dog. And inside the dog, I cut it open and I found its spawn. I found a small puppy, and I decided to nurse that puppy back to health. And when we went to the Witchwood, when we went to the Hag's Fork, this kind of like this cavern made out of shrubbery and brush and trees. We went through and we found a pool, and the water was not poisonous, but it did do something. So what I said is I actually allowed the little puppy fetus dog thing to drink some of that water. And that water caused the dog to grow supernaturally into a full-grown dog who has now bonded with me. And so I have a mongrel pup named Muck. Had supernatural growth due to the water from Hag's Fork. And the mongrel pup, Muck, has a bite that does D4 damage, and it does 4 hit points, or it has 4 hit points. Additionally, I went ahead and kind of fleshed out the beast that we are hunting, and it has HP as 6 hit points, a morale of 9. It does D4 damage. It has an armor of D2, and it was covered with tentacles. So I said that it's and a wide maw, a gaping mouth that reeks of sewage, and it's constantly oozing blood from every orifice. So I just quickly drew this creature here with this wide mouth with all these teeth and its eyes and nose and blood's dripping from them. Got this nasty sewage, gunk, blood stuff dripping from its maw. And then it's covered with tentacles. It looks like maybe it's kind of like an octopus type creature where it's just a head with tentacles. And it slithers around on its tentacles. And here is one that I cut off. I cut off its limb, which I'm going to say is a tentacle. So it's bleeding out of this this amputated tentacle there, and that's the one that I'm trying to have grafted on to my body. So as we made our way up to Pigskin Port, we passed through Hag's Fork, one location. The next day we went to Witch Hill. The next day we went to the Watchtower, and the next day we made it to Pigskin Port. So I want to roll on camera the chance of having any miseries along the way. So we need to roll 1, 2, 3 more miseries. So remember, if we roll a 1 on a d6, we have a misery. Let's see what we're rolling here. Okay, so there's a 6, so that's 1 day, 2 days, and 3 days. All right, the world is ticking on. No miseries have befallen the world yet. If you need a reminder, miseries in the game of MORK BORG, the world is going to end, and it's just a matter of time. And you can set the dice that you want to use. I'm using a D6 for the first 3 miseries. Anytime you roll a 1 on that particular die, you have a misery. As soon as you have 7 miseries, then that is the end of the world. And so here we have our Vemetelig, our beastly scholar with a Zweihander, leather armor. I am going to mark off 3. Let's see, I'm going to mark off some food here. We're gonna need to get some food. So that was how many days did we say? 1, 2, 3. I had 5. So I'm going to mark off 3 food. So I'm down to 2 food. And then we did feed our dog some water, allowed our dog to drink some water. I'm probably not going to keep track of rations for the dog, just because I don't want to. I don't want to keep track of that much stuff. And we have 26 silver. Again, this is just kind of an example of a truncated adventure to give you a little bit of feel about how you can use Solitary Defilement to play MORK BORG solo. And we are, of course, using the amazing map from Dungeon Degenerates as part of our map. So now we are in Pigskin Port. So this is where we wanted to go. And now what we're going to do is we're going to do a city crawl. And this is going to be utilizing this Alone in the Crowd supplement that does come with Solitary Defilement. So if you pick the game up from, I don't think there are any paper copies left, physical copies, but you can pick this up from Drive-Thru RPG as in a PDF, and you will get everything that I am showing here, all of the Solitary Defilement stuff in PDF form. I think the designer who I have talked to, and I am going to get him on the channel as part of the podcast to do a discussion with him. I think he said that sometimes he does have a few copies left that he will sometimes put up on Etsy, I believe. So it is worth your time if you're really into this game and you want to get the physical components to just probably check like Etsy, probably check eBay every once in a while. Just do a search every couple weeks for Solitary Defilement if you want to get some of the physical supplements. So I'm going to grab a piece of paper here because we got. Okay, so I did want to grab this scratch piece of paper here that we can use for a dungeon crawl, but I'm just going to use this little map area for our city crawl. And in our city crawl, we're going to go into Alone in the Crowd. And this has all the rules for urban style adventures. And there are two different kinds of ways. Actually, I guess there's kind of three different ways that we can have adventures and settlements. We can do a micro crawl where we can just have a linear series of events that happen in the city. So that is for a quicker thing. If you were playing a game and you just wanted to pass through, a small trading village or something, you could do a micro crawl that would only have maybe 1 to 4 different kinds of encounters that you could flesh out for as much as you wanted. And then we have a kind of a objective-driven, full-fledged city crawl, where you are going to have a series of objectives that you are going to try to find, and you're going to use the moves, the city crawl move, to find those objectives. But we're going to use what is called the derive. And this is kind of like an aimless wandering mode. And so what we're going to say is we know that there is a doctor's office somewhere in Pigskin Port that can do what we need to do. And it is on the opposite end of town. It is on the outskirts of town. And so we're going to use the derive as we wander through the town in order to find what we are looking for. And so this is, if you encounter a settlement and just wish to aimlessly wander around to see what happens, then you may undertake a derive. Consult the settlement size oracle to find out how many streets this settlement has. Okay, so we're going to say that it's a medium size. I'm not going to roll on the oracle, but we're going to say that it is a village-sized settlement. So that is going to be D8 plus 3 streets. So let's grab my D8 here, and let's see how many streets we need to wander until we reach the outskirts of town. 4. So we need to explore 7 streets. At the end of that 7th street, we are going to find the doctor's office. Okay, so now we're going to use the city crawl move with a DR of 10. Okay, so we have a DR of 10. That is a difficulty rating of 10 to as we explore. If we ever fail our check for this, then something has impeded our ability to get to the next street, and we would roll on some kind of random encounter chart. But in the city, you use a city crawl move in order to move from street to street, and then you use a series of oracles to determine what you find on each street. There are no bonuses to add to your city crawl roll. However, you can stop and get directions if you ever want a better chance of finding what you are looking for. This get directions is probably a little better for using the full-fledged city crawl that we are not going to do. So I doubt we will look for directions. Maybe we will in case we want something, maybe something interesting can happen. So we're going to start with our city. We're coming into the entrance to the city here, the entrance of Pigskin Port. One thing, let's see what Pigskin, let's see what odors are in the air. A city's smell is always, it's always nice to visualize. So let's see what it sounds like first. Maybe 11. There is a rhythmic dinning of people, kind of like a, if you were going down to kind of like an industrial type area of a city, there's like the hammering and machinery, people walking, it's creating its own rhythmic noises of a city, of a village there. And then let's see what kind of odor or taste is in the air. 9. It's fishy. Okay, so that's actually makes sense because Pigskin Port is along here, is along the river. So it is probably a fishing community. It's briny smelling. It's salty, kind of gross. It's fishy. So those are the kinds of things that we can keep in mind as we are traveling through Pigskin Port. So the first thing we want to do is we want to do our city crawl here. And we're going to do a DR 10, because that's the 10, and versus 2d20. On this city crawl, a weak hit and a strong hit are the same thing. We got a 17 and a 6. So we have a weak hit. So that means that we go on to the city. And so what you're going to do is move DR10 to explore the settlement, mapping as you go. Both strong hits and weak hits are treated the same way and indicate that you should generate a street with the street descriptors oracle. Once you have, and then once we have reached the end of the 7th street, then that's where we go. So weak hit is roll a new street using the street descriptors oracle. Let's go here and let's see what kind of street this is. So we have our street descriptors. The street adjective is a D20. Okay, so we got an 11 here. And this is a dusty street. So we have a dusty street. It's dirty. We are walking into the city. It's a fishing village. It hasn't been cleaned for a long time. Maybe there hasn't been a lot of rain lately, so it's all kinds of like scales and fish things. Fish parts are just kind of like lying dusty on the street. Let's see what type of a street this is. And this is a lane. So this is a dusty lane that we're coming through. Okay, and then let's see what kind of, how many exits there are. We're going to ignore the dead end because the first street should not be a dead end. Okay, so we have 4. So there are 3 exits. So this is a crossroads. So we're coming into the dusty lane, and we have 3 exits that we can go to. So that's we can go there, there, and there. I think there are also is there street names? I thought there was. Maybe there wasn't. We could have a settlement name. You could roll a random settlement name, but we have our name is already chosen. So this is just called Dusty Lane. Excuse me. So this is called Dusty Lane. And then now let's see what is on this street content. So we're going to roll a D12. Okay. 4. There's a gathering. Okay, so Dusty Lane has a gathering. A gathering is near the entrance to the city. That's a nice place for a gathering to be. So let's see what kind of gathering this is. So we have a gathering table here. Gathering, that is a D6. 2, a ritual. Okay, so check the solitary defilement religious denomination and yes, no oracles to determine whether the ritualists are friendly or not. Okay, so we're going to go to the solitary defilement, and we're going to see the religious denominations. So let's see what kind of gathering. Some cult has gathered just inside the city gates. I wonder what they are doing. We can see this is going to be a D12. So we have the Order of the Horrific, Decay. So gathering of the Order of the Horrific Decay. I wonder, this sounds like something that they might be, is there tension building in the air? Is there a chance of imminent danger from this order of the horrific decay. They don't sound like a peaceful religion, a peaceful cult here. 2, yes, there is a chance of violence, of something bad breaking out, but I'm going to say that it is possible that we could just avoid this. We're going to try to duck kind of along maybe behind some merchants' carts or something. We're going to try to avoid the order, the gathering. So this is going to be a DR12 presence check, which I have a 0 in presence. And we got an 18 and a 17. So we successfully avoid getting caught up in this cultish display by the order of the horrific decay. And we make it to the end of the street. So we have explored 1 street. Okay, so let's go to the next street. We're just going to say that this is north. So I'm going to head north further into Pigskin Port here. So we have a DR10 check. And 8 and 11, so we have a weak hit, so that is good. We are able to go further into this street now. Okay, so next we want to roll a d20 to see what kind of street this is. We have 12. Okay, so this is a smoky street. So maybe we're heading into kind of a more of like an industrial area, or maybe there's some cooking going on, perhaps. And let's see what type of street this is. This is a smoky highway. So this is a major thoroughfare that is heading north into Pigskin Port. Perhaps some kind of trolleys are heading down. Maybe they're coal powered, so it's creating this kind of smoky, very polluted. It's a yellowish. The sky is like yellow with pollution, and the stench of decay, of fish decay, is getting even stronger as we walk down this smoky highway. And at the end, there are 2. So this is a junction. So this is going to split off like that there. Okay, so we can go east and west, and let's see what we come across on this smoky highway. 9. Okay, so we have an NPC encounter. So this is pretty cool. This book here has all kinds of different NPCs that you can encounter here. So this is going to be a D66 roll. Okay, so we're going to say the green is 10s. And we have an 11. All right, so we find some debt collectors. If you owe a loan shark, okay, so we don't have any debts. I would have created, my character could have had some debts. Otherwise, there's a 1 in 4 chance that they mistake you for a debtor owing money. Okay, so a 1 in 4 chance that these debt collectors will mistake me for somebody that owes them money. 1. Okay, so they do mistake me. So there are D4 debt collectors. There were 2 debt collectors here. Okay, so 2 debt collectors. And they accost me. They say, "Hey, you." I look at them. My dog looks at them. And they say, "Don't you owe us money?" And I'm like, no. This is my first time in Pigskin Port. My first time out of the terrible swamp. I don't owe any money. So I'm going to we're going to do I'm going to try to threaten them. I kind of look imposing. I'm carrying a Zweihander. I am carrying an amputated tentacle. I have this strange mongrel dog with me. So we're going to try to intimidate them. And that's going to be a strength test of a DR12 and a 19. So I do go ahead. That's a weak hit. So a 19 and a 4. So I am able to intimidate them, and they run off. And perhaps for the complication, they might be running to get a guard, or they might be running to maybe get their bodyguard or their tough to come in and break my leg. So that would be an occasion where you could use a weak hit as a chance to role play, as a chance to add a complication. But we're going to go ahead and continue to move forward on exploring our streets. So I'm going to go ahead and head east here. And a 3 and a 20. Okay, so that's a weak hit. So we continue to, nothing impedes our journey through Pigskin Port. We are on this street now. Let's do our D20 here, 11. Okay, so again, another dusty place. This place is very dirty, very gross. So we find a dusty tunnel. So the thoroughfare, the highway, it veers to the east here and it goes underground a little bit into a tunnel. So we're going through the tunnel here. The tunnel is probably pretty dark and very kind of gross. I'm going to say there is only one exit to a tunnel. That makes kind of like a geographic sense to me, construction sense. So this tunnel ends here, and it's going to veer to the south here. Okay, so let's see if we discover anything, have any kind of journey or any kind of encounter in the tunnel. And a 7, a business. So somebody has set up business in this tunnel, and let's see what they are selling here. A 20. Confectioner. Okay, so yeah, this tunnel is kind of wide, and there's a cart set up that is selling boiled sweets for 2 silver, berserker's honey for 15 silver. So a couple things that the confectioner is selling. I buy a couple boiled sweets and I hand one off to Muck, my mongrel dog, and I eat the other. So we have just a nice little snack together. So I'm going to mark off 2 silver. Okay, so 24. Okay, so we exit the tunnel. Our bellies are full. We're good. And now we're going to head south outside the tunnel, and let's see where we are going next here. Okay, so how many streets was that? That was 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we did that street there. We did the Smoky Highway. We did the tunnel. And now we're heading down to this street here, which is 18. It is a broken street. Okay, so this street might take a little bit of effort to get through. And it is a broken down highway, another broken down highway. So maybe this is like the old highway that they used to use to get through to Pigskin Port. Like this is the new highway here. This is the new Smoky Highway, and this is the old broken down highway. And let's say to get through that, since it is very difficult, that is going to take a strength test of a DR 12 and a 10. So my strength is 13. So that was a weak hit. So we're traveling down the broken highway, and a piece of the street crumbles away, and my dog like almost slips in. So I try to grab my dog and save it, and that's going to be an agility DR 12, and I have a -1 agility. Okay, so there's a 20, -1, and a 10. So that is a weak hit. But I grab the dog and I pull it up, and he gets a little scared, and maybe he's not as trusting of me anymore because I hurt him while I was trying to save him. That's kind of like just a little makeshift adventure that we can have along this old highway. And now let's see if we find anything else in this contents here. 8, another NPC encounter. So another NPC is traveling along with us on this old highway. Perhaps somebody we can have a conversation with or something. Let's see, 21, a miserable bastard. Yes, I'm sure there are a lot of miserable bastards in Pigskin Port here. Assign a random PC class to an NPC. Allocate special abilities and roll other stats as if they were a regular NPC. So that would give you a chance that maybe you could come up with some kind of like mercenary or something that you could hire. Maybe this guy will join your party. I'm not going to spend the time to roll it up because this is kind of a truncated adventure. And so, but that would give you just a whole other avenue, pardon the pun, to explore, to create some kind of companion or an adversary for your hero. Maybe you were in this, some strange city that you were exploring, and you came across an arch rival. So your arch rival could be the miserable bastard or something like that. So we would continue exploring like this until we reached the end of the city. So like a few more streets to explore, and then we would find luckily for us, and I had no idea that this was actually in here, but one of the businesses here is let's see, where did that go? Is a doctor and a barber surgeon. I don't think I knew that this was actually in here, and I don't think I knew how specifically you can get a transplant. And so that's what we were trying to do. We were trying to graft this tentacle onto our body. Now, it does cost 90 silver. So what I would do if I was doing a full campaign, a full adventure, is this would be a perfect opportunity to go out and explore the wilderness more, take more adventures, go on some hunting trips, maybe take some jobs from a local tavern or something like that, trying to earn 90 silver. Earning money, that is such a a classic trope of RPG adventures. We need to earn our money to pay for our surgery. Perhaps I could try to convince the doctor to do the surgery, and then I will be back, and I will be, his bodyguard for a week or something like that. And so we could say, maybe there's a presence, a DR12 and a 17 and a 14. So that's a strong hit. So we convince him to do the surgery for all the money we have, which is 24 silver. And then we will be back, and we will be at his beck and call. We will be his mercenary for a certain amount of time. So that would be another chance where we could create even further adventures. But one thing we do want to do is, let's do this on camera here. Let's see how our surgery goes. So we asked the doctor to graft this tentacle onto a part of our body. And we have a DR14 toughness versus 2d20 to see how well the transplants or amputations go. So my toughness is 0, and we have to do a DR14. Okay, so we have 11 and a 3, so that is a complete failure. So the surgery, the barber surgeon, he grafts the tentacle onto our body. And I was thinking about this, like what I was going to do if it was a failure, because I thought this would be fun. So now we have this beast's tentacle grafted maybe on top of our shoulder. And in combat, there will be a chance that the tentacle has a mind of its own and actually attacks us. So we have to deal with this rogue limb that has been attached to us. So that would conclude our city crawl, our trek through Pigskin Port. Now, one thing I did want to do, and I should have done this at the beginning of this video, and I completely forgot, but we need to see about our milestone here. So we had a straightforward adventure. So this is how you would end a leg of your journey, how you would end one of your milestones. So we were going to say that we had a straightforward one trying to get to Pigskin Port. But now we're going to say that our first leg of our journey was to get through Pigskin Port, to have our grafting surgery. And so we are going to complete a milestone. But first, we have to conclude an adventure. So we have to roll 2d20 plus omens against the appropriate difficulty rating. Our adventure was straightforward, so we have to get an 8 or higher. Adding our omens, we have 2 omens, so we have a pretty good chance of successfully completing this adventure. A 13 and a 4. We have a weak hit. Something unexpected happens. Add another milestone. Okay, so maybe our milestone would be... this would be a chance to role play. So you could say maybe the doctor, we found the doctor's office, but the doctor was being accosted by some thugs. Or maybe that could also be the time where we determined whether or not we needed to go get more money or something like that. Now, if you did have a strong hit, your adventure is completed. And then as you complete a milestone, you can get better. And getting better is how you level up in MORK BORG. And getting better is pretty simple. You can roll for more HP. You can find something in the debris, something at the end of your adventure you can find. And then your abilities change. Now, what's interesting is your abilities, you roll a d6 against every ability, and there is a chance that some go up and some go down. Eventually, you're probably going to arrive at some kind of average. But I really do like that, how getting better or worse, as you level up, you actually might level down. And I think that's a really interesting concept that really fits well with MORK BORG, with the style of this game. But we're not going to level up. We're just going to continue. And so we had kind of a botched surgery. We now have this rogue tentacle attached to our body. I am heading out of Pigskin Port with my dog, and we are going to track down this beast in a dungeon, and then we are going to try to get revenge on this beast. But remember, this beast only wants sympathy. It wants to be cuddled. This adventure could end up with friendship. Yeah, who knows? Maybe we will befriend the beast. Maybe there was a misunderstanding when the beast approached us and I jumped to conclusions and drew my weapon, and that triggered the beast to attack me. Maybe I will be more understanding, but I doubt it. I think I'm pretty much consumed with rage at this point. All right, guys, well, hope you enjoyed this trek through the city crawl through Pigskin Port. The next episode will be the final episode of this little series, and we will do a dungeon crawl. Take it easy, guys. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.